Chapter 12 Stardust Power. Take the bodies to the basement closet, along with that other dead person, Ariel commanded. Harold, go and fetch me a chair. Harold, Ariel's main guard, walked out of the room in search of a chair. He came back a minute later with a large golden chair with red cushions. He placed it behind Ariel. Ariel sat down. Now, go get a small chair for Alexis. Harold walked out of the room again. He came back with a dining room chair and placed it behind Alexis. She sat down. Aren't you excited, Alexis? Tomorrow is the big day. The day everybody's been waiting for, Ariel said. When David and Christine explained everything about the Stardust needed to bring Austin alive, there was a maid who was eavesdropping. She heard the whole thing. After David and Christine were shot, she snuck up to the room that held the container of Stardust. She took out a small leather bag and scooped it into the lake of Stardust. She closed the bag and stuck it into the pocket of her dress. She went down into her small maid bedroom and grabbed the sheets off of the bed. She tied it into a rope and threw it out of the window. She climbed down the rope and jumped onto the ground below. She ran away from the castle. She passed the hole caused by the shockwave explosion. She arrived at the hospital. She ran through the doors and into the empty room. "Somebody help me!" she yelled. Dr. Peter ran from the emergency room to the entrance room. "What's wrong, miss?" he asked. "I have the Stardust for Austin Oxley," she replied. "Where's that couple that brought him?" Dr. Peter asked. "They were shot," the maid explained. "Bring the Stardust, hurry!" Dr. Peter ran down the hallway to the waiting room. He passed through the room and into the other hallway where Austin's room was. He opened the door to Austin's room. Austin lay there still unconscious. The doctors were sitting around the bed waiting for the Stardust. The maid walked in and handed the bag of Stardust to the doctor. "Excuse me, ma'am, may I ask you what your name is?" Dr. Peter asked the maid from Alexis's castle. Lillian Gren. I work at Alexis's castle. I overheard the couple explain to the guard about Austin, but then they were shot. I snuck to the Stardust room and got the supply needed," Lillian explained. "Well, thank you very much for taking that risk. You will be honored when everything gets back to normal," Dr. Peter said. "Thank you, but I have to go now. They'll wonder where I am," Lillian said. "Thank you again," Peter said to her as she exited the room. "Pete, he's conscious now," one of the doctors announced. Dr. Peter turned around. Austin sat up on the bed. "What day is it?" Austin asked. "It's the 30th, Dr. Peter replied. "You're going to have to stay here for a few hours." "Is it dark outside?" Austin asked. "Yes, it's 8 o'clock. "Don't have enough time to stay here." Austin got off the bed. "You cannot leave yet. You're not fully stable yet," Dr. Peter told him. The doctors grabbed Austin's arms and put him down on the bed again. "Make sure he stays here until he's able to leave. I need to check on our other patient." 3 of Ariel's guards stormed through the doors of the hospital. There was no one in the front room. They pulled out their guns and ran to the emergency hallway where Austin was being held. They ran down the hallway, kicking every door down to find Austin. They arrived at Austin's room and kicked down the door. The doctors jumped up from the floor and ran toward the wall. They let out screams and the guards shot them down. Austin jumped off the bed. He grabbed a knife off of the counter and stabbed the guard in the front. The guard fell to the ground. Austin grabbed the gun from the guard's arms and shot the other 2 guards down. He threw down the gun and ran down the hallway. He exited out of the hospital and ran down the street toward Alexis's castle. He entered through the back door and waited until morning.